Why did your members reject the offer and reject it so resolutely?
They did. I mean, it's a huge rejection. In less than 6 days, 66% of our members responded and 98% of them voted to reject the offer. And I think there are 3 reasons for that. One is that we don't believe it's fully funded, so even implementing this inadequate offer would lead to more cuts, loss of teaching assistants, higher class sizes. The second is it goes nowhere near matching the pay rises elsewhere in the country, the pay rises for teachers in Wales and Scotland, and that links to the third reason, that this won't deal with the recruitment and retention crisis that is plaguing all too many schools in this country. I've been talking to teachers here, a biology teacher who told me they've got a vacancy in her school, a very nice grammar school apparently. No applicants with biology degrees applied to teach there. Her partner is a physics teacher in a nearby school. His A-level classes in his school taught half the week, half the timetable. The other half the timetable, there's no teacher. The children are learning by themselves. I put that on my social media, and reply after reply of schools saying they can't get geography teachers, they can't get modern foreign language teachers. That's why our members have rejected, because there is a terrible crisis in our schools of a shortage of teachers, and we need pay rises that have to be fully funded in order to start to put that right.
The word insulting was used by your union. Why have you found this offer insulting in particular?
I mean, that word insulting, that's come up from our members. Our members feel when they received the offer and we put it to them, we told them what the offer was, they saw that it was so much less than Wales and Scotland. They regard that as insulting. They saw that it was less than the NHS. They regard that as insulting. They see that it's unfunded, and they have been making so much noise about the poor funding in our schools that they regard it as insulting that the government is suggesting a pay rise that isn't properly funded. One of our strike demonstrations recently, I was talking with this young woman, young to me now, I'm a 64-year-old man. She was in her first year of teaching as a nursery teacher. She, like many other teachers, is buying resources for her classroom, buying Pritt sticks. But this went one step beyond that for me. She was buying furniture for her classroom. Our schools are not funded well enough, and teachers regard it as insulting that the government is bringing forward offers that aren't fully funded. They can't put up with having more cuts in their schools, and they need more teachers, so we need more money on the pay for recruitment and retention purposes.
Courtney, Jillian Keegan says the offer was funded, including major new investment of over £500 million in addition to the record funding already planned for school budgets.
Yes, I've heard Gillian Keegan say that. When her officials talk about it, they're rather more guarded, and they say it's funded on average. Even that we regard as untrue. We'll be producing major studies in the next few days. We've recently conducted a survey of our head teacher members. They say they can't afford to pay it. But we are looking at the reality. We have the measure. We know exactly how much each school is getting from next April. The government publishes those figures. So we know that there is a big majority of schools that will not be able to afford this pay rise, as well as the pay rise for support staff, as well as the increasing energy costs, that a big majority of schools won't be able to afford them without making further cuts. Gillian Keegan is simply wrong about this question. And we will have to talk that through, but she's wrong, and my union is telling the truth about the matter. We've got the research, we've done the research, we've done the surveys, we know the truth of the matter. Talk to head teachers, ask them how they feel about their ability to manage it. You'll get the same answer from them as I'm giving you now. This offer is not fully funded, and Gillian Keegan is wrong to say that it is.
Okay, well, let's go on and further look at what she said. She said following a week that they were negotiating in good faith, the government offered teachers a £1,000 payment on top of this year's pay rise, a commitment to significantly cut workload, and a headline pay increase of 4.5% for next year, above both inflation and average earnings growth. And you're saying that, your members, excuse me, are saying that that is not good enough. What do you want then?
Well, Gillian Keegan is playing with statistics there, isn't she? She's talking about inflation from next September, and she thinks that that will be at 2%. That's a government forecast of inflation. But what we were pressing on her in those negotiations that we entered in good faith as well, we were saying, look, our members are coping with the 10%, 12% inflation that has already happened. The fact that inflation falls later doesn't mean that prices go down. Those prices that people can't afford, that 10% increase, they're going to go up even more with that smaller inflation. So it's ridiculous to say that this pay rise matches inflation in the future, because it doesn't match the price rises that have already happened to people's pockets. And our members also look at the way the Welsh government and the Scottish government have treated their teachers, and they are doing a much better job of this than the government in Westminster. We pressed Jillian Keegan. We took her lots of evidence from the National Foundation for Education Research, from a group called Public First, from the Institute of Fiscal Studies, all showing that teacher pay in England has fallen compared with other professions across the last 10 years, as well as fallen compared with prices, and all of them pointing to that as a major reason why we can't recruit and retain teachers in our schools. I regret to say that Jillian Keegan's response to that was to tell us that there are recruitment difficulties everywhere in the economy. Well, that might be true, but Gillian Keegan is the Secretary of State for Education. She's responsible for the children in our school and the standard of education that they have. And she should be arguing for pay rises and funding rises for our schools so that our children are treated properly. You know, it's not the same in every school in our country. If your child is at Eton or Winchester College, you don't have a problem with having a qualified biology or physics teacher. But for the rest of us, we need some investment from this government in this generation of children, their schools and colleges, and the people who work in them.
Okay, Mr. Courtney, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.